Hey, it's your girl Barbie J here, and we are talking about Delilah, Season 1, Episode 5, No Good Deed. And y'all know that saying, no good deed goes unpunished. And boy, did Delilah get punished. Trying to do this good deed for Leah, I tell you. But before we get into it, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please take a moment and subscribe now. Hit the little subscribe button right down there. It's right there. It's either red or white. You click on it. And then if you want, you can click the little notification bell next to it. And it'll let you know every time Barbie J uploads a new video. Oh, yes, it will. Anyway, are y'all seeing this? I see lights in my glasses from up there. I'm going to have to keep looking down because it drives me crazy when I see light. I got to stop wearing these glasses when I do my reviews. Anyway, shout out to everybody in the comments section. I love you guys. I told you I lost the list of names because I love doing the shout outs. Everybody names and stuff. It's fun. And, but once I get my list back together, I got to find it and redo it. Anyway, let's get started. Now, you know that it ended. Well, it started where it ended, and Delilah is at Leah's house, and it is ransacked. It is torn to pieces, torn apart, I tell y'all. Yes, it is. And they stole her laptop, and they snatched the cell phone right out of her hand. And that's when we heard her saying, no, what are you doing? What are you doing? Let go of me, you know. So Delilah's telling the officers who she thinks did it, and that they were called. We hear that they were called for 459. What the hell is a 459? Do any of y'all know? Because I'm not a police officer. A 459, and Delilah says, well, it's not a routine 459, and she's telling them they should be checking Osborne, and it might be the same guy who was outside of Gary Shay's house that time. I don't like to outside Gary Shay's house, and then they just like, well, we don't have no evidence that anyone else was there except Leah, and we're looking. I'm stumbling because I'm trying to understand these police officers. You are looking at her house torn apart, and they're like thinking she did it herself because she said, "Well, do you think she did this herself?" They were like, "We don't know what she did." And she's telling them, so Delilah's like telling them, look, this is what you should be doing, and this is where you should go. And the white cop is like, hey, lady, who do you think you are? And she said, Miss Connolly. Delilah, if you're nasty. No, let me stop. I went to my Janet Jackson. Miss Jackson, if you're nasty. She should have said Delilah. Miss Connolly, if you're nasty. Anyway, so she said, Miss Connolly, Delilah Connolly. And the black cop, oh, Chief Connolly's wife. She said, not that matters. He said, well, it matters to us. And now the white cop is all like with the yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am. Before he was nasty. Both of them don't seem like they give a damn about what happened. They just don't care. So there's something now. This Osborne guy must be a big deal, because the police officers are acting like they don't give a damn. And so when they're leaving, you know, they said they would look into it, and when they were leaving, Leah yells, and look out for Tamara Roberts too. And they said, who's that? And Delilah turned and looked at her and said, nobody. So then she goes to her and said, do you think Tamara did this? And she said, well, Tamara's the one who called me and wanted to meet way across town. And she didn't even show up, call me and said she got hung up at work after I went all the way out there, and said there'd be a better offer coming. And if they go to court, they would use all of the info that reporter recorded. And she was like, what? It was almost like a threat, like this. She didn't have no choice. And she said she feels Tamara set her up to get her out the house so that man could go in there and do that. And don't it seem that way, y'all? It seemed that way to me. I don't know about y'all. So Tamara's all up in her feelings because Delilah done served her client, Fred Osborne, with the deposition notice, and knowing it would escalate things. She's fussing to Casey and telling him that Delilah, she gets in all these ruts and ruins things, and she wants to feel like the righteous underdog. And she's saying all this stuff, and Casey's like, really? You know, her fiance, he's like, really? And at the same time, that's when Delilah decides to call her and said, is Casey there with you? She said, yeah. She said, then I want to meet you down in the lobby. We need to talk. And they get down there, and she's like, you went behind my back and called Leah, because she ain't supposed to be calling her client. You called Leah. She said, yeah, I did. I was trying to save you from yourself. Sue me. She said, well, maybe I just might. And she tells her what happened with Leah at the house and the stolen laptop and phone, and they argue and stuff. And then, so, you know, Tamara get up and walk out. You see this, what's going here? This ain't me. This ain't me. She's just like all this attitude and stuff. She know her bosses is crooked. Them white men's is crooked as ever. So she was leaving. Then she turned back and said, are we still on for Monday? She said, for what? She said, my wedding dinner. She said, of course. Okay, you know. And that's how they went off with that. And then they show Gordon and Katia, and they arguing and stuff because, you know, she about to lose her apartment, and her roommate is trying to find another place. And she said, well, Gordon, you're gonna always see me as a student. You didn't take me. You never take me seriously or something like that. And she said, tell me something, because she get out of bed and getting dressed. She said, tell me something. She said, did you mean it when you said I was a genius and stuff? He said, yeah. She said, did you mean it when you said I was the most beautiful woman you had ever met? And so he said, yeah. She said, really? So if you meant it, how come you treating me like that? She said, because I'm thinking if you didn't mean it, you only said it to get me in the bed. I said, you know, men be saying stuff now. Some of y'all be out there just saying stuff. You know it, so she ain't too far-fetched with that one. And it could have started that way and then develop into more stuff. But it seems like their relationship, it was what broke up his relationship with Delilah. So you mess with your student who's about, what did Delilah say? About 10 years, 9 to 10 years older than your daughter. Lord help me. Anyway, let's move on because I don't want to get into that. Nate calls Christine to have dinner with her. You know, and, oh, but wait a minute. So Katia said she was leaving him and she was walking out and stuff, but he said he's going to talk to Delilah. You know, anyway. So Nate calls Christine. They have dinner to have dinner with him, and she's got this old funky attitude, like he's bothering her, and I'm like, what? So she agrees to meet him. This your husband. Okay, he messed up and did this, but he's still your husband. You don't just fall out of love with people like that just because he got hurt in war. If anything, you might be more empathetic and want to, you know, hold him and help him and love him. And she don't even want to do that. She a lazy ass wife. I'm telling you, I'm sorry. She agrees to meet with him at 8 p.m. And he's so happy, and he hangs up. Oh, my nose. And he hangs up and rolls into, and she hangs up the phone. And honey, you watch her roll over in her bed into Andre's arm in Nate's bed that he had with her in Nate's house. Damn. Christina, trifling ass. And then she don't even want to raise her child, but you could roll over in some other dude's arms. What your child got to do with your husband getting into getting hurt? That's your baby you birthed out of there. You supposed to be connected. She don't seem to be connected to that child in any way. It's a damn shame, y'all. And I said, see, that last week's episode was called Andre. I don't know why, because Andre wasn't in it. But Delilah kept telling him, Daddy asks about Andre. Andre is the key to this. Delilah could tell, she could tell his presence and how he affected her and told her to get in the bed. He knew it. She knew it, and she was right. That woman ain't jack. She ain't ish. Anyway, so Delilah drives to her dad's house to show him proof that about Osborne and what he has done, maybe the reason for Nate's injury and stuff. Plus, she needs him to get a police officer to put pressure on Osborne and ask some questions. The father asking her, do she have proof about this? And she said, yeah, I got these documents, and she showed him the documents. And he's like, if these reports are from Gary Shea's wife, she can be charged with obstruction. We were looking for these documents. And I said, see, because they want to hide everything. That's why they needed to make copies of stuff. So he wants Delilah to give the files, and then he will try, he said, then he will try to squeeze on Fred Osborne, put the squeeze on him and find out stuff. And she said, you know, this is your son, so just make sure, you know, you try to get something done, because this is ridiculous. She can't find the person who signed the documents. This man, I forgot his name, but he can't seem to be found anywhere. So then we got this thing with her and Mason, or Mace as she calls her. What the hell is their relationship? Can anybody make it out what they think their relationship was? Because he was at her house twice in this episode, you know, and I'm like, what's up with them? And he be around the kids and stuff, so they all cool. I thought he was a relative at first, and then I thought he worked for her. Then I just thought they might just be friends, but he seemed to like her. So Tamara goes to Wynn Jr.'s office, and his secretary, or executive assistant, whatever she is, she gives Tamara this funky look. Every time, and I don't know if any of y'all noticed that, every time Tamara come in that room, that old white woman look her up and down and can't stand her. You'll be finished soon. And I'm like, ooh, what's up with that? I could tell she do not like Tamara. We don't know what it is, but anyway. So she tells Wynn Jr. what happened, you know. And she tells him what happened about Leah's break-in and the laptop in the cell. And he's like, oh, Fred's not going to be happy with that because he needed those things. She said, or maybe he has it already. And he's like, wait a minute. You can't be talking about him like that and stuff. You're accusing him and da-da-da-da, you know. So, you know, the white men going to defend each other, you know. So he said it was the first time he was asking, and then the secretary came in. Your father is here to see you. He said, speak of the devil. And he told her, you can ask Wynn Sr. if you want. Like, I ain't going to ask him. So it went past that. And then Demetria's driving Harper crazy. She puts her plants in the window in front of Harper's desk. And so Harper likes the sunlight. So she opens the blinds. You know, you come home in the morning, you get up in the morning, you open the blinds, you got the sunlight coming in and stuff. Girl, Demetria's like, go and close the blinds and say, what, the too much sun on her plants. They can't have all that sun. Damn it, plants need a whole lot of sun. I don't know what kind of plants she got, but she shouldn't have them by the window if they don't need all that light. She should have them in her office where there ain't no light. Or, you know what I mean? But she driving Harper crazy. And you know, Delilah's looking at that. She gonna end up losing Harper because of Demetria. Anyway, so Gordon calls Delilah and asks to speak with her tonight. I'm going to talk to you tonight around 7:35. And when he arrives, he says hello to the kids. And Maya says she needs to talk to him for a minute. You know, and that's their daughter. And she talks to him. And what we find out later when he comes downstairs, Delilah wanted to know why he's up there so long. And he's like, your daughter wanted to apply to a conservatory in Philly and would have to skip her senior year if she got in, but would get her diploma. And he said, I told her it was okay with me. I didn't mind, you know, but I had to talk to your mother. She had to talk to her mother. I don't know who had to talk to her, but anyway, he tells her what he's there for. He back with Katia and stuff, and he's going to ask her to move in. And Delilah's like, ain't no way in hell my children going to stay there with her there, because she's the reason for their marriage breaking up. She was his student. The child was only not that she was the reason, but him cheating with her was the last straw. Let's put it that way, because he had cheated before. And then not even that, she was his student, and the child is only about 9 or 10 years older than his daughter. And his daughter's in high school. So he think his excuse is, well, she was a grown woman when I dated her and stuff. Yeah, teachers ain't supposed to mess with their damn students. Let's come on with that. Let's bring that back. That's just the same way subordinates with their bosses. Y'all shouldn't be doing that together. It's just like, you know, that's going over that Tyler Perry with the sisters thing and the banker and stuff. You know, anyway. So that was that. So he left out. She was saying that we're going to have a long talk about this because I don't know. And he's like, it's not your decision, but I understand what she's saying. You're going to have my kids over there with that woman and you know, I don't know. Anyway, she said, did you tell your daughter what happened? Did you tell her how you lost your job and ended up unemployed? Did you tell her how that because you was with that girl you lost? And you know, so I don't know. Anyway, so then Delilah and Tamara meet again to discuss their wedding, and that's at that dinner. And once again, they get into a disagreement because Tamara lied about asking Wynn Sr. and Tamara, Delilah could tell. She said, we've been friends since middle school. I can tell when she's lying to me. So, and then Tamara jumps up acting like she's like so innocent and stuff. If you gonna have to keep asking me that, I see how we are now and all this stuff. And she's like, look, I'm gonna go. And she get up to walk out. She come back and dig in her pocketbook and slap a Benjamin down, a $100 bill. I don't know why I said a Benjamin, on the table, and walked away. And Delilah's just sitting there with her eyes rolling up in her head because she knew that she was lying. So then there's some man named Paul Green. He contacts Chief Connolly. Chief Connolly said, I've been waiting for this call. And he wants his old, this white guy is his old partner, Paul Green. And so they meet at night in the dark. I thought they was going to kill Chief Connolly going out there in the dark. But he said, why did you put King Connolly? Well, first of all, he put his hand out to shake Chief Connolly. Chief Connolly never reciprocated, did not put his hand back out to shake it. Anyway, he said the white guy wanted to know why did he put Ken Collins from IA on a routine 459. He said, how you know about that? He said, well, Ken told me, you know. And he said, you know that Fred, and asking him questions to ask Fred Osborne questions and da-da-da-da. And he said, yeah. He said, because the things that were stolen from this woman were the two things he was asking for. So it's worth checking up and following in. He said, oh, I understand, you know. He said, but you know, Fred Osborne and Osborne Tactical, I'm sorry, Fred Osborne Tactical is going to supply body armor to the entire Charlotte police force for free. So see, Fred is buying his way into police protection and all of that stuff. That's what he's doing. So, and that daughter of yours is getting you into a lot of stuff and all this stuff he's saying. And the chief, he's saying, Chief, we know that situations can get out of hand. And Chief is just walking away from him. Once he said something about Delilah, Chief just walked away from him and went to his car. And he's yelling, Chief, you know what situations can get out of hand, way out of hand. Anyway, Christine comes back to visit Nate, and she's acting very uninterested in being there. He shows her the completed puzzle of Niagara Falls he made for her, and he said, I know, I promised to take you there. And she kind of smiled. I said, oh shit, she know how to smile. Yeah, she smiled and stuff. And he said, she's like, well, can you even go there? He laughed. He said, I was wondering too. He said, but they do have accessibility there for people. And he told her he still loves her, you know, and wants to make it work. And she's like, I don't know what to say. He says, just say you think about it. And she's not, I'm not sure I can. And he's like, what? And she pulled her hand away from him. I said, damn, Christine, you don't want nothing to do with him. Not his kid, not his life, but you up in his house and his bed with some other man. The hell is wrong with you? Anyway, so then Tamara and Casey are discussing seating arrangements. So, by the way, Nate was hurt, of course. We know that. But see, he didn't listen to Delilah. He thought Delilah was full of crap. But Delilah can read that scene. She saw that. She said, Stevie Wonder saw that mess coming. Anyway, so Tamara and Casey are discussing the seating arrangements at their wedding. And she said, well, where's Win and Katie? I don't see you there. He said, well, it'd be kind of crazy to put Delilah and Win and them together. She said, that's too bad for them. You know, that's too bad. She snatches the laptop and changes around. She all mad at Delilah, feeling all her way and stuff. And I said, Lord Jesus, it don't even make any sense for her to be that way. Especially when you ask to be your maid of honor. You gonna have her in that situation? I don't know if he took him out of it, but I thought it was like in the same room or in the same space. I don't know what it was. I thought it was table, but it shouldn't have been the same table. But she invited Win and Katie and stuff. And Casey's looking at her saying, just call her. And she's like, no, she needs to call me. She needs to call me. They know. Anyway, they're not supposed to go to bed mad at each other. They should always supposed to call or something like that it was. Anyway, so Delilah tells Mace what happens. And he's tired of hearing the whole story. He's there for the second time in a week. So I'm like, what is their relationship? Somebody tell me. She tells him what happens. And he's like so tired of hearing the story. He said, look, Delilah, I'm going to call her myself because I'm tired of hearing it. And she was like, no, don't do it. He said, no, I'm going to call. She said, I mean it. I'm not playing. And he said, well, look, I was just trying to help. You know, y'all been friends way too long. She said she shouldn't have lied to me. I've known her so long. She's lying to me. So he backed off and we let that go. So Delilah finally calls Tamara, and Tamara's sitting up in bed watching the phone. And her husband, when that phone rings, and she said, hey, he just let her husband, her fiance, he rolls over. Casey rolls over and go to sleep. And they talking, and she getting loud while he laying there in bed trying to sleep. And she's like, da 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 da. And they start disagreeing again. And then they decide to take a beat. I never heard that saying, take a beat, but take a beat must meant take a break from each other or something. So she said, you think it makes sense for me not to be your maid of honor? She said, I don't know. You know, the court case is in a month and da-da-da-da and all this stuff. And so basically they decide she would not be her maid of honor. And Delilah was hurt. Delilah was hurt because she told Tamara, it don't matter. There's going to be other cases, and there's going to be other cases, other Leah's. She said, you're going to have other cases. Leah ain't going to be involved, and I'm not going to be involved. But those wins, Junior seeing, they going to still be the people who they are. That company's going to still be who they're, and you're going to be there doing that same dirt and mess that they're doing. She let her know, and she right. You can't if you see people doing stuff that's just shady, why would you want to stay in that company? It just don't even make no sense. But anyway, that's her business. And finally, it ended with Delilah is trying to have a chat with Demetria to see how things were going. She was like, but did Harper complain? She was like, no, it's not that. She said, is it about the plant? She's like, no. She said, I just want to see how things are going. And while she's trying to find out what's going on, and Delilah's trying to get a word in, you know, Demetria's like, da, 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 da. But y'all know last week we saw Demetria in there crying. So something going on with her. She alone, maybe all that mouth she got, I don't know. She can't keep a man or something. I don't know what it is. Anyway, so while she's trying to talk to her, her father shows up. And the father comes by to see her, and he's telling her what happened and that there's a majority of white cops on the force who watch his every move. And he told her about what Osborne is giving them, all the free body armor. And Delilah's all mad at him, saying, once again, you're not putting your family first and your son first, and you don't care about it. You know, she getting all in her girl, bring it back. Roll it back, Delilah. Roll it back. So she, while she's talking to him, here come Harper in there, always pushing the door right open instead of like peeking in or something. She walks right in and the cops come to arrest Delilah. And Chief is like, what's going on? You know, stand down. And they're like, well, no. He said, Miss Conley, you're under arrest for tampering with evidence and obstruction of justice. He said, I said, stand down. Who issued the warrant? And he said, the female cop said, Judge Akers or whatever. Of course, they send white cops to do this, you know. And he said, who issued that warrant? Judge Akers. He said, I should have figured. So that's when Demetria's standing there like, you have a right to an attorney. And Demetria jumped in there and said, I'm her attorney. I'm her attorney. When they were like, well, ma'am, you could go, you know, you could go and go down there with us as well. But, you know, we have to finish reading her rights. And she looks at at Delilah, and Delilah said, you know, and so they finish and they handcuff her. Now, it's one thing, you could walk her out. You ain't need to handcuff her. She ain't swinging on nobody. But they quick to put some cuffs on some black people, aren't they, y'all? Anyway, that's how it ended. This was my recap review of it. Y'all let me know down in the comment section how y'all felt about this episode. This your girl, Barbie J, saying peace.